Hi everyone, welcome to today's presentation. My name is Alejandra Boker. I am the lead dietitian here at Sanitas Medical Center, and we're going to talk about understanding carbohydrates today. So here are the objectives that we're going to review today. We're going to talk about what are carbohydrates, what are the benefits of carbohydrates, what equals to one serving of carbohydrate, and lastly, what to look for at the grocery store. So what are carbohydrates? Carbohydrates are sugars and starches. They are the main sources of energy in our body. They include whole grains, fruits, vegetables, both starchy and non-starchy. Now remember, legumes and dairy also contain carbohydrates. So here are some examples of some carbohydrates that you may be used to consuming on a regular basis. Bread, pasta, crackers, oatmeal, bananas, things of that nature. Now let's talk about the benefits of carbohydrates, specifically fiber. Now fiber is undigestible, meaning when we eat it, it comes right out and it helps with our bowel movements. Other benefits of fiber include better digestion, greater absorption of nutrients, and a stronger immune system. Now remember, 70% of our immune system lies in our digestive tract. The other thing to keep in mind is that whole grains lower the risk of visceral fat and chronic diseases such as type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. The best part about whole grains and just whole carbohydrates in general is that it provides you with long-lasting energy. Now this is due to the fiber content. The higher the fiber content, the more you're able to sustain that energy over a longer period of time. Now the other important thing is that not all carbohydrates are created equal. Our bodies process them differently, meaning when we're consuming whole grains, our blood sugars don't spike compared to when we're consuming refined carbohydrates. So just to give you an example, whole grain bread versus white bread. When we're consuming whole grain bread, our blood sugars don't go up as much. When we're consuming white bread, our blood sugars go up quite significantly. With the overconsumption of refined sugars and carbohydrates, you're actually at an increased risk of chronic disease, mental disorders, and depression. Now remember, it's the overconsumption of carbohydrates. Now you may be wondering about the amount of carbohydrate you should be consuming in a day. This will depend. It depends on the level of physical activity, disease state, weight goal, and also tolerance to these types of carbohydrates. So here are some examples of what is equivalent to one serving of carbohydrate. We're looking at half of a cup of quinoa, a third of a cup of rice, one slice of toast, and half of a medium potato. When you're at the grocery store and you're wanting to purchase grains, you want to focus on a couple of things. Number one, you want to make sure that the packaging specifies the word whole. So for example, if you're purchasing bread, it should say 100% whole grain bread. Number two, in the nutrition facts label, it should say at least 5 grams of fiber per serving. And then lastly, if you're wanting to purchase gluten-free options, here are some examples that I can give you that are also high in fiber, such as oats, popcorn, and also quinoa. What if you see organic white flour at the grocery store? Is it really better than regular white flour? Not necessarily. It's still a refined flour. Keep that in mind. The term natural actually doesn't have a legal meaning when it comes to the nutrition facts label. What you do want to focus on, however, are whole food ingredients, meaning if you're looking at the ingredients in a package, you want to make sure that every single ingredient on there you can actually purchase individually at the grocery store. Lastly, as far as labeling goes, you might see on the packages multigrain, 100% wheat, pumpernickel. Now, these products don't necessarily have a higher content of nutrients. They may actually still be refined. So what about sprouted grains? Sprouted grains have an increased percentage of nutrients, and your body absorbs these nutrients a lot better. Some examples are bean sprouts, alfalfa, and Ezekiel bread, which you can find at the freezer section of the supermarket. I want to leave you with a challenge. Incorporate one whole food carbohydrate in every meal for a single week. What do I mean by whole food carbohydrates? Fruits, whole grains, vegetables, both non-starchy and starchy. So to conclude this presentation, here are some final tips to take into consideration. Number one, replace refined carbohydrates such as white rice with ancient grains such as quinoa, farro, and buckwheat. You may also want to mix the familiar grains with the unfamiliar grains, meaning mixing white rice with quinoa, for example. Number three, try to replace some of those juices with whole fruits. So if you're having orange juice, make sure to replace it with an actual whole orange. And lastly, if you're having the complex or whole carbohydrate, make sure to also mix it with a protein and a healthy fat. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us at nutritionsupport@mysanitas.com, and I can't wait to see you in the next presentation.